Okay, from now on, we are going to talk about the example for a reading test, actually a real example. And before conducting the reading assessment, we thought about some factors. So if the sample reading task will have high validity or reliability and the positive logic effect. And we also considered if the sample reading task will stimulate the students higher order thinking, and if the sample reading task will improve the students' reading strategies. Actually, students' reading strategies is really important. So, uh, okay. So, and we also thought if we will conduct the formative assessment or summative assessment, but we decided we will conduct a formative assessment since our unit is not completed, and we are going to use the sample reading assessment in the middle of the semester. Actually, there are some reasons for conducting the formative reading test, and that can be the purpose of the formative reading test because we want to use the reading test assessment to provide teachers constructive feedback to the students, and we also want to keep scaffolding students' reading development, and we also want to increase the students' higher order thinking. So we want to exclude multiple choice tests in this time. So uh, we conduct a kind of performance, direct assessment. And we also thought of uh, using authentic genre and authentic task as well. So that's why that's why we will use science book, which most of American public schools use as an authentic reading input material. And uh, we also ask students to do some kind of authentic task. I will explain about the task later on. So, uh, as units describe some various kinds of reading tasks, we need to think about the assessment objectives first to apply and select one of the reading tests. So we decided to use information transfer, which is one of the interactive reading tests, because we want to make students interact actively with the text by negotiating meaning. So um, we thought that using visual aids like charts, maps, graphs, or diagrams can be a good tool for students to interact with the text. So that's why we thought of the graphic organizers for our formative reading assessment. And in that case, we expect that the students will create a diagram using a graphic organizer after reading the given input material. So from now on, I will explain more specific about the real example of reading assessment, reading test. I mean, and first, the students will be the fourth graders in EFL Elementary School in Korea, and their levels are intermediate. And in the previous class, during the last two periods, the students learned vocabularies about mammals and some characteristics about birds and fish. And they already learned how to compare and contrast between the animals by using a graphic organizer or a diagram. So we don't want the students to be overwhelmed with unfamiliar task. And then in the third, they also had a chance to create their own diagram after reading about the memo. And I already explained about the purpose of the formative assessment like that. I will skip it this one. And then the objectives of the assessment is that students will demonstrate their abilities to understand the vocabularies about the reptiles and amphibians by creating a Venn diagram. And we also expect that students will demonstrate their abilities to analyze the relationship between reptiles and amphibians by creating a Venn diagram with comparison and contrast, which is one of the reading strategies. And during the class, first, the teacher will provide the students a reading material about reptiles and amphibians to understand other mammals. And the students will learn some hard vocabularies about new mammals and will have a chance to talk about the mammals briefly. And then the last one, after learning some hard words, the students will be asked to create a Venn diagram by comparing and contrasting the reptiles and amphibians for a reading test. And this is the sample that we will use for the formative test. We this passage is excerpted from the real science book, authentic science book, and then we will use these reading strips for choosing a subject in each diagrams, and we also provided this kind of reading strips for the statements that students will use uh, puts in the each diagram. And this is the real sample for the test. And then the students are supposed to choose and take the right reading strips that tell how the subjects are different or are alike. So they need to put those reading strips in the outer circles, and they also need to put the reading strips alike in the inner circles. And then after taking the test, teachers will score students' tests with the rubric. So that's why we also construct the rubric for the reading test. Since that test is to ask students construct or create Venn diagrams with the reading strips. So we thought that we need to come up with rubrics, clear rubrics for scoring the reading test. So from now on, we will show you how to take the how students can take the test with the real relevant